guys, so Field Trip Friday may have been canceled this week because I had to join my father at the hospital. But the day's not over. You don't know. It might still come. Also, we are having an ultimate field trip, which will be coming up on October 13th. And that is my cousin's wedding. Now, that might not sound witchy to you, because it's not a hand fasting. They're certainly Christians, aren't they? But my cousin is Uncle Ike's son, and Uncle Ike is who inspired my whole taxidermy. I'm going to be making him a Q&A as a person who's lived on what he could hunt his whole life, and as a person who's grown his own food, hunted his own food, trapped his own food. You guys, this is a lot different than going to the grocery store and buying food. This is a lot different than hunting for sport and getting a piece of taxidermy out of it to look at. The taxidermy they have in their home is different. When they look at it, they're like, I had to have that for food for my family, and I was still alive through the whole thing. My uncle was almost killed more than once by animals, and he was face to face with a cougar, and he was this close to the cougar winning. Now that's not the cougar I have right up here. This is from one of his other sons who shot it for me. Not for me. He shot it, his family ate the meat, and then I got to have the cougar at, a very good price. And I love to get taxidermy from that family. When I was a little girl, when I was my earliest memories, 3 and 4 years old, I remember going to his house and looking up, and the walls were just covered with animals. And I never thought it was scary, and I never thought it was weird. I just thought it was. And I thought, like, man, Uncle Ike, you are the coolest guy I know. So this video is a tribute to, I apologize we didn't get to go on a field trip today. Field trip canceled. I have to go to the hospital for a visit instead. But ultimate field trip coming up. Going to Uncle Ike's house. Going to see his shop where he does stuff. Going to ask him questions about his life. Going to ask him all kinds of things. And going to have some tight one-on-one. And this won't be able to be shared with the Pagans and Witches Amino app, because Uncle Ike says fuck every other word. Like, I can't even think of a sentence that I could... Like, for instance, ring, ring, ring. Hello? Hi, Uncle Ike, it's Jen. How are ya? I'm doing pretty fucking good. How are you, sweetheart? I'm doing good. You and Aunt Linda hanging in there doing okay? Ah, it's fucking shit, just like every other day. But let's talk about you. How are you doing? When are you gonna come visit me? I mean, like, seriously, every third word is fuck. And I'm gonna tell him for the video that he should not change what he says at all. Also, he's probably been on the internet like 3 times in his life. He's like late 70s, I think, right now. No, late 70s. I don't think he hit 80 yet. But you'd never know it. He's just like a fucking spitfire. He's just a fucking, like, I love him so, so much. But the only thing I don't love about him is the way he treats my mom. Him and my mom are the only children of my grandma and grandpa. So they've just got each other for siblings. And my mom is like me in a lot of ways. Like, she tries so hard to be impressive to him and to make him look... tell her she did a good job or something. And it's just never gonna happen. Like, it's so kind of the relationship that I have with one of my brothers. It's kind of... But it's worse with her and Ike. But he's a great guy. He just doesn't know how to treat his little sister. That's acceptable. I think there's like a 6-year difference between the two of them. But they've just got the most awesome story, like how they grew up, and I hope I get to talk about that more. But basically, the town that I'll be taking you is Potlatch, Idaho. It's a teeny tiny town right across the border from Pullman, Washington, into Idaho, and the nearest big town would be like Moscow. Or Pullman on the Washington side. But yes, I've been visiting there since I can remember my earliest memories, and my Uncle Ike never moved away. Like, my mom and her parents and Uncle Ike, they all grew up in that town from their roots. And then something happened. I'll tell you on a different video. I just found out recently why. So Grandma and Grandpa decided they were getting the hell out of Potlatch, the tiny town they'd only been in their whole entire lives, and rip the kids out of there and move. Well, it was my grandma's idea because, well, all I really need to say on it is men are men, and men do stuff. And my grandma was like, let's get him the fuck out of this town so he can never do anything again. It makes sense. I mean, we handle shit in our own ways, right? So, my mom went to Seattle with her parents because she was only like 14, and Uncle Ike was 19, and he's like, see you guys later, this is where I live, this is my home, this is where I'm at, and he stayed behind, and now he runs that fucking town. There's only like 900 to 11, or excuse me, 9 to 1100 people total. It's just a little tiny town on a hill. And so, here's a funny story, I have time. Okay, so, one time, right after I got this first sleeve, I went to go visit Uncle Ike, like, on a whim. And I just got in the car and drove, because I had 3 days off. I was like, you know, you can, it's just one of those things where you, like, can get in the car and drive. If you're at that point in your life when you don't have family, you're young, just do it. So I did. And I got in the car, and it was me and my friend at the time, and at that time, there were 2 bars in Potlatch. They were right next to each other. The Silver Saddle and the Wagon Wheel. Now I believe it's just the Wagon Wheel is a bar and the Silver Saddle's a restaurant because, like, lots of crazy stuff happened. Small towns, you guys. Nuts. But before I got to my Uncle Ike's, I wanted to go have a beer at the bar. Because it's always much nicer to walk into his house after you've had 2 beers. In my opinion, it just makes it so much easier to, because he's had like 15 all day, so it's nice to have like 2 before you go there and not be like, yeah. So, I go down to the Silver Saddle, and I go in there and I say I want to order a drink, you know, I like, I want a beer. I don't have any idea what I ordered. And then they said they didn't have that. And it was like, you don't have beer? And I looked around and everybody had beer, and they're like, not for you. And I was like, oh, okay. Is there anything here that I can have? And they're like, what are you doing in this town, little girl? You know, with my tattoos, and it's a small town, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, actually, I was just stopping here for a beer before I went to visit my Uncle Ike. And they're like, Ike Carpenter? And I said, mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, you can have all the beer you want all night long. Told everybody in the bar, this is Ike Carpenter's niece. And, see, that's what kind of guy my Uncle Ike is. Like, he is a fucking legend. So, for our field trip Friday, I guess, it's not a field trip this time, but it will be. And it's going to be one of the coolest field trips I will probably ever take you guys on. Besides, I'm planning one to Aberdeen, where Kurt Cobain is from, and hitting a lot of historical points there, and then also maybe a graveyard in Aberdeen. So, yeah, so many things, so many things, so many things. But, Field Trip Fridays, I'm working on it, you guys, and please say prayers for my dad, Don. Please say prayers for him. We're going to see him in the hospital now. He has breathing issues, and he's getting up there, but right now he's bleeding out of, he's coughing up blood and in the ER, and so Alex and I have to visit him. So we're going to go visit him for a while, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to make some more videos. I will talk to you guys soon, and little do they know it, but they're going to have so many attendees at their wedding, aren't they? All my love, you guys. Jen, the taxidermy.